Mayday, Mayday! Is anybody out there? Does anybody read me? This is an SOS call. Mayday.
There is a painting that doesn't just ask you to look. It asks you to see. The Yellow Christ by Paul Gauguin, AD 89. In it, Jesus hangs crucified, glowing an unnatural gold. Not in an ancient Jerusalem, but strangely in the quiet countryside of France, modern France. He is radiant, symbolic, and yet nearly invisible to those who are around him. We see peasants kneel in prayer, unaware of the divine light towering above them, forgotten and silent. And when I saw From TV show and met Martin, the old man chained in the dark dungeon from land beneath the town, not a prisoner, but a prophet, not a horror character, but a reflection of something far more eternal, Christ consciousness buried beneath our fears. I realized this isn't just a horror series. This is a spiritual allegory, a visual sermon, a question buried beneath our fears. What sacred truth have we chained away? Because we were too afraid to look at it. There's a light even in the dungeon. To see it, you just have to look.
Like a dream, you walked into my life just like a dream.
In Paul Gauguin's AD 89 painting, The Yellow Christ, Jesus is crucified not in an ancient Jerusalem, but in the green hills of rural France. He glows in an unnatural yellow hue, radiant, divine, and yet the burdened women who kneel nearby in prayer seem almost unaware of his presence. This haunting image reemerged for me not in a museum, but in a dark, surreal television series called From. In the cold underbelly of the show's mythic town, a man named Martin is discovered, chained, bleeding, whispering truths. He's not simply a character. He's an archetype, a cinematic echo of Christ consciousness exiled from the surface world. This review explores From through the lens of Gauguin's masterpiece, Carl Jung's symbolic psychology, and the recurring spiritual theme of sacred truth being hidden, buried, or forgotten. Along the way, we'll examine how the box in Martin's dungeon create a duality between false punishment and a true revelation, and how stepping outside the box becomes the only way towards awakening and redemption. This is Ellen the Marvelous, the movie gang star. As I promised you before from Lee, I'm here again to discuss on Martin, the mysterious old man chained into the dungeon. And in this very review, I'm going to take you to a journey outside the box and talk to you about a part of Jungian theory called Christ consciousness. And with all my dedicated respect for Jack Bender, the director of From TV show, as he has drew and painted for this show by himself, and he has tried to connect all facts and clues in the show through his fabulous paintings we see around in the show. I am going to discuss on the Yellow Christ painted by Jean-Paul Gauguin in AD 89 as an average of symbolist manner of painting, which I believe has very deep impact not only in creating the theme of the show, but the mise-en-scène and scenes. And we are going to discuss on the yellow color as well. And through this review, once for all, I'm going to show you the deep connection between chained old Martin with everything we see in the show. Then join me into this psychological deep dive in this review on From TV show. But first, please hit the thumbs up and like the video. Share the link to your friends and communities. Please subscribe to my channel and support me to grow my channel. Because I'm not creating these videos just for fun or entertainment. but I'm doing too much researches on my own to get to the point and take too much time to create and edit each video creatively as a guide for everyone to be connected more to the show and being more enlightened through theories I'm sharing with you as I am learning too much from them as well. As a shadow work, because if you want to be your own life superhero, first of all you need to do the job on your own shadow. Don't forget to turn the notification bell on to be informed of all of my videos, reviews, breakdowns as I uploaded them.
Anybody up there?
Then let's begin with the bugs. We see the bugs for the first time in the pilot episode exactly when the show begins. We see Boyd is shaking the bell and alerts everyone to go inside. And as people around are in a hurry going inside their houses, we see him passing by Megan's house and he has shots on her to listen to her mom and goes inside. He passes by the box as he is waving his bell, as he is rightfully has a sheriff's star. As it seems, it's near nightfall and danger comes from the dark, and he shouts on everyone to go inside and stay safe. The other day, this is exactly Frank, Megan's father, who was drunk all the night and arrived too late to his family and lost them in a monster attack by his own ignorance. And we see this is Boyd who decides to put him in the box for punishment only because he has broken the rule and has not looking after his family. Boyd punishes him because he was not protecting his family, and after all put him into the box. As it seems, in Fromland, those who break the rule are thrown into the box, a locked metal container left outside to be devoured by the monsters that roam at night. It is a visible threat, a public judgment, a ritual of fear disguised as justice. We see Boyd puts Frank in the box cold-blooded just because of Frank couldn't protect of his own family. And in later episodes, we see Boyd himself was the one who left his family for a discovery and never listened to Ellis, his own son, who was worried about his mother. And after all, it was his mother who became a sacrifice of his own father's ignorance. The box is obedience through terror. It is a societal mechanism designed to keep people inside the illusion. And we see they are all stuck in Fromland already as they are in the box. And now Boyd has created a box as a punishment, which seems to be another box inside a box. And at the end of season 1, as Boyd and Sarah are wandering into the jungle, and by the boy invites guide, they ran into the faraway tree. We see Boyd ends up into a tight, deep tunnel as a box. From there, he hears of a voice who throws the rope down for him, and as he climbs up the rope, he sees an old creepy man chained to the wall as a crucified Christ over there, who we know later as Martin.
Anybody up there?
I can help you if you help me.
You made it.
We don't have much time. I need you to kill me.
But Martin's Dungeons is different. It's hidden and forgotten. Feared not because it kills, but because it reveals. The box punishes actions, but the dungeon punishes by awakening. The duality forms a powerful metaphor. The box is the egoic prison, the dungeon is soul's exile. One punishes the body and the other punishes by truth. He exposes everyone's inner shadows, fears, and secret feelings. Martin exists outside the known world. He seems scared as he calls Boyd, gives him warnings, says they are coming. And this is exactly when the old music box with a circling ballerina on it began to play a song. We see Boyd doesn't pay attention to the music box and is trying to save Martin as he resists to be saved and warns him, and all of a sudden he calls Abby's name and he refers to one of Boyd's worst fears and regrets, which is not listening to his wife and killed him in cold blood. And as Boyd is shocked, all of a sudden again we see the music stops playing and Martin scratches on Boyd's arm and says, "My blood now is your blood," and hurts him. Finally, Boyd leaves the cave and finds his way out as he has a lightning torch in his hand. He finds himself deep into the jungle, waving his lightning torch around, looking for a way back home, scared. And this is when he can feel those worms inside his skin for the first time. We saw Martin talk about Abby, Boyd's wife, who was a white woman, and exactly pointed to Boyd's weakness. Martin was a white man, and now Boyd has his blood in his veins, which appears as worms inside his skin. Who knows if Boyd was felt weak in front of his wife, just because she was a white woman. Martin exposed his worst fear, and as it seems, Martin is not just a physically like the outside of the box. He is spiritually beyond that. Now let's talk about a very special painting, Gauguin's The Yellow Christ as a Divine Presence in Exile. Paul Gauguin's The Yellow Christ is widely considered one of the defining works of symbolist art. Rather than depicting Christ in historical or traditional biblical context, Gauguin transposes him into the modern world. The luminous yellow figure of Christ, stylized and flat, stands in a sharp contrast to the muted tones of the surrounding pastoral landscape. The use of yellow, a color traditionally associated with gold, light, divinity, and sometimes as decay, renders Christ not as a suffering man but as a transcendent force. Yet his transcendence is unseen, unknowledged, even ignored. The peasants pray, but they do not see. From a symbolic and Jungian perspective, Gauguin's painting reveals a spiritual disconnection. The archetype of the self represented by Christ exists within the scene, but is no longer integrated into the awareness of the people. He is an eternal presence forgotten by the modern mind. Now let's have a look on the Christ consciousness, a Jungian and spiritual perspective. Carl Jung saw Christ not merely as a religious figure, but as the ultimate archetype of the self, the unification of opposites, the totality of the soul. When Christ is buried, denied, or ignored, it symbolizes the rejection of inner wholeness. Martin becomes the embodiment of this rejection wholeness. He is not a part of town's control structure. He is not a monster. He is not a follower of rules. He simply is a soul who saw beyond the veil and was punished for it. He represents Christ consciousness in its rawest form: unwanted wisdom, uncomfortable love, or transcendence without a throne. Like Gauguin's Yellow Christ, he's too bright for a world that prefers the shadows. Now we can look into the box and the dungeon as two types of a prison. As I mentioned before in Fromland, Those who break the rule are thrown into the box, a locked left outside to be devoured by the monsters that roam at night. It is a public judgment. Seems to be a ritual of fear disguised as justice. The box is obedient through terror and a societal mechanism designed to keep people inside the illusion. But Martin's dungeon is different. It's not only hidden from a plain sight, but unseen to others. Feared not because it kills, but because it reveals. And it happened to him. Martin talked about Abby just because as Boyd was lost in the jungle, he had an epiphany of the day he couldn't find his way back home on time and caused his wife's death with his own hands. Later in season 3, we see Julie enters the dungeon. We see her has a very different experience there with Boyd. And we finally discover it was Julie who threw the rope for Boyd in that night, where was stuck in that box-like tunnel to climb up only to visit Martin. We also see Julie could open the door and enters the dark tunnel at that exact night when his mother was walking through the dungeons and tunnels following Victor. Reminded her of something she had experienced before. The exact night his father was buried under the Rickett home just because of saving Tabitha, her mother, and now Julie could hear her wandering in the dark as he is talking to Victor, which seems hurting her, maybe as an epiphany to another older memory, maybe which caused their baby brother Thomas fell down the table and dead, and what happened between his parents to cause them to decide to get divorced and hid the truth from their children who were in much in suffer and took them to a fake tree. The box in the town punishes actions, but the dungeon punishes through awakening. The duality forms in a powerful metaphor as we see box is the egoic prison, but the dungeon is the soul's exile. One punishes the body, as I said, the other punishes with truth. Martin in chain looks like a crucified Christ, but buried deep into the dungeons under our feet. Dungeon is a real outside the box, the only path to awakening and being free. Martin's presence challenged both the characters and viewers to step beyond comfort and certainty, to think, feel, and see outside the box. In a society or psyche built on an illusion, those who speak truth are often buried, but their presence never truly dies. Like Christ on the cross, like the self in shadow, like Martin in the dark. This is the essence of the show's deeper message. The monsters aren't just out there. The real horror is what we've buried within. To escape from is not to find a road. It is to descend into the dungeon, face the forgotten Christ with own fears and shadows, and bring that Christ back to the light. You just not burn a torch to find a way out. You have to open your eyes and heart to see, to feel, because there is still light into the dungeon. From is more than a horror series. It is an allegory of a spiritual blindness. It asks, what sacred truths have we locked away because they didn't fit our systems? What part of ourselves have we crucified simply for being too radiant to control? Martin, like the Yellow Christ, is not a warning. He is an invitation to remember, to descend, to listen, and to liberate what has been lying buried beneath fear. There is still light into the dungeon. You just have to take a deeper look. Martin is a symbol of Christ consciousness. You're wounded inside, open wide, even in chain all yours, to look deep and face your own shadows and deep wounds and secrets may be false. And as you see, Martin is a symbol of a naked reality which shakes everyone to the bone as is facing with.
I ain't here to pray. If you are anything other than some bedtime fucking story that we tell ourselves, then you will tell me why. Why you made me think I could fix this. Some kind of fucking hero gonna lead these people home when all I am is a dumb motherfucker who keeps getting people killed! Just answer me! Answer me! Huh? Say something!
You know, tampering with a mailbox is a federal crime.
As I mentioned before, Julie's approach to the dungeon is very different with Boyd's experience. As we saw, it was Julie who threw the rope for Boyd to save himself and climb up as Martin asked her. Later, as she confesses of her strange journey to Ethan, he calls her a storyboker, as the one who can travel to the past, only to observe, not to change. Because what has happened is happened and the story has been written already. As Boyd is facing with his own faults and fears by meeting Martin into the dungeon, Julie is facing with fears in different ways, and as it seems, she blames her mother for all has happened to them, causing them to end up stuck in this farmland. Also, there were Randall and Marielle with her chained to the walls as Martin was. It seems they must be sacrifices of some dark secrets as well, as Julie, who is a sacrifice for her own parents' behavior. As it seems, Farmland is a place for all to face with their own fears, lies, and dirty little secrets and falsehood. At the end, as we discussed on the Yellow Christ painting and analyzed that and mentioned on the symbolism of yellow color, I need to mention of another fact from the final episode of Season 3 and the appearance of Man in Yellow. In that scene, we see Jim desperate. He has lost the love of his life and family to another man. And as it seems, he's wishing to go back to that day, maybe when he met Tabitha and his parents for the first time. And at that moment, the Man in Yellow appears in front of him, ripping a straw in cold blood after reminding him of his warning about that whole Tabitha dog in the basement. Maybe as a secret which should not be revealed. Now, yellow color has come as a decay. And this is all about us in our real lives. This is us who has to face with our shadows and fears and even bad habits to conquer our shadows and weaknesses, to not stuck in a circular, repetitive pattern over and over again as a karmic cycle. You have to break the cycle by facing shadows through introspection and self-reflection to become into your own Christ consciousness without any fears and secrets. I hope I could make it clear for you everything about Martin, the old chained man into the dungeons. As you know now, Season 4 production has already begun, and also there will be another TV show, The Institute, written by Stephen King and directed by Jack Bender, which Jack Bender himself already claimed is in connection with From TV show in some ways. I will make reviews on The Institute TV show as well, as I will keep making reviews on From. This is Ellen the Marvelous, the movie gang star. Thank you for watching my review. Please like the video and share it to your friends and community. It would be so nice to write me your opinion and ideas as a comment below. Subscribe to my channel to support me, and don't forget to turn the notification bell on to be informed of all of my videos, reviews and breakdowns as I uploaded them. For now, love and light in peace, and see you all in my next review.
But we're still in this thing.